Hola, ¿qué tal? Hello, everybody. I am Daniel Crespo from ojovolador.com, and I welcome you to the Thermal. Today, we are starting the Thermal for our English spoken followers. Our good friend Paolo Velese will be our host because his English is better than mine. And we are really happy to start this show with Acro star Theo de Blic tonight. So I leave you with Paolo, and I hope you will enjoy this talk. Hello, Paolo.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much, Pana. I'm super excited actually for this very first interview. And who do we have today? Theo de Blic. What a legend. 26 years old. 26-year-old Theo, and an absolute legend already. 3 times world champion, 3 times Acro Games champion. You have created the most radical new maneuvers, Theo. You're working on development and design of new gliders. What a man. So welcome to Ojo Volador, Theo.
Thank you for having me. I'm super happy.
Cool, man. Cool. And Theo, well, let's start just with the basics. Perhaps how old are you?
I'm 26 years old at the moment.
26. So you were born in the 94.
Yep.
That seems like not very long ago at all, and yet you've accomplished so much, Theo. And when did you decide, and when did you start paragliding?
I started at 12, more or less, but my dad was a paragliding instructor, so basically he took me tandems flying when I was something like 2.5, and then I was ground handling around 6 years old, and then I just went for paragliding at 12 when the law allowed me to fly, which in France is 12 years old.
Wow, 12. And how were you as a student? I mean, were you a well-behaved student? Did you give your dad a lot of gray hair?
No, I was quite safe, I think, and quite well-behaved, actually. And my dad had a lot of confidence in me, and he was really letting me do whatever I wanted as soon as it was more or less safe. So basically, I think it all went quite well. I didn't went crazy until I started Acro, obviously.
Yeah. No wing-overs on your second flight kind of thing, right?
No. When you are a kid, you know that you are allowed to fly just because your parents allows you to fly. So basically, I knew that they could take this away really fast if I was doing some bullshit things. So I was taking really good care to be really serious and really safe, so that I was allowed to keep flying.
Cool, man. And I don't know if you remember, but how was your progression? Like, what gliders did you start to fly with, and what was the steps that you were taking, kind of your first achievements, and what was it like?
I remember very well, actually. Yeah. I started to fly with a glider from Nervier, which was a Wappy, which is a ENA glider, but it was one of the only ones that they were making in, I think it was double XS. So it was starting at 45 kilograms. So it was one of the only possibilities at this time to fly with low weight. And then I was lucky enough to fly with some glider from Aerodyne, which is a brand which is finished now. It was Flying Planet as well. And they made a prototype. Yeah, it was a long time ago. I'm old already. And it was a prototype of hike and fly glider, which I flew for 1.5 years, more or less. And then I had a succession of glider from gradients, from the Golden to Aspen, and then I started Acro, so I had Acro wings.
Yeah, and that was my next question. And how did your normal flying became Acro flying? When did you start setting your sights on acrobatics? And maybe it was around the Aspen time, because the Aspen was a good wing to introduce pilots into Acro.
Well, basically, when I was like something like 13.5, I was autonomous, and I was starting to fly by myself a bit more and to do some more things in paragliding. And I had to make a choice between Acro and cross country, more or less. And my dad was really shy to let me go cross country flying. He thought it was quite dangerous, basically because if he was really scared of me bombing out somewhere and having to hitchhike at 13, back home. This was something that really was scaring him, and he was also kind of scared of me flying in too heavy conditions that he could not really control. So he really wanted to have me to have good skills under my wing. So he told me, okay, just start to fly Acro. It will teach you skills, and then you will just keep flying where I can see you, so I can check your progression and I can check you out, and that will be good. And so he kind of pushed me into Acro flying, basically.
Yeah. What's your dad's name?
Benoit.
Benoit. Thank you, Benoit. Great job. Great suggestion. And that's fantastic. And well, you became, obviously now it becomes more clear, but you were semi-professional / professional very early on. I mean, perhaps 17, 18, and you were already making a living out of paragliding?
Yeah, more or less 16. Basically,
Wow.
I started to earn some little money. I mean, enough money to pay for competitions and pay for many stuff and get free wings around 16, more or less. So it was not at first due mostly to my skills, but I'm quite good at running a business. So I had deals with paragliding company, which was Acro, and we had a great deal, and I was making some little money by selling Acro wings, and they were helping me out with some bills I had and stuff like this, and I was making money this way. And I stayed with Acro for like 6 years, so until I was 22, more or less. And then I moved to Gradient, where I also signed a professional contract. So I had a professional contract with Acro on the last 3 years of my life. And then I signed a new professional contract with Gradient. So I've been a professional for the last 10 years so far.
Yeah, I must admit, Theo, we crossed paths actually many years ago during your early days on the professional world of paragliding. And yes, you came across not as the average Acro pilot at all. I mean, you were extremely professional, very dedicated, very responsible. I think it was for this Acro competition that Gordy Oliver organizes in the UK. The Buttermere Bash. And but I remember just how striking it was. You were going to bed early, you were eating well, you were doing your job, you were there to do the show, and I thought, wow, this guy is going to go the whole way. But what would you say to an Acro pilot to be an Acro pilot wannabe? What kind of things do they need to start look upon, and is it nowadays then that would be the minimal requirement? Let's say you have to be professional, you have to be serious about what you do for your sponsors or to make a living out of it.
Well, nowadays being a professional is being a kind of a social person. So you have to include like social media and communication and marketing into it. 20 years ago, you could be the best athlete in the world, like you could be a world champion and you were a professional. Right now, you can be really far from being the best, but you can be a professional if you are really good in business and good in marketing and in communication. And to do so, you have to be really professional. You have to imagine that you are an example for every pilot, an example for people. And so you need to be really serious in your job. You need to have a serious time schedule, wake up early and work and do real work like communication, videos, photos, posts on social media and stuff like this. And you need to be really serious, and then sponsors will get interested in you and will start using your name and using your fame in order to promote their companies. But you don't have to be the best Acro pilot in the world to be a professional, but you have to be a really good businessman. That's the most important thing. And if you are the best Acro pilot in the world and are a really bad businessman, it will be really hard for you to be a professional pilot, actually.
Wow, that's pretty good advice. Thank you, Theo. And going back to what you were saying before, so working first with Acro, then moving to Gradient. Andre Dupal, the owner of Gradient back in the day, had always a very close connection to France. Yeah, the French market has been very big for Gradient. Back in those days, I think was Antoine Montan was the ambassador for Gradient. But how did you come across Andre? I mean, how did that switch from Acro to Gradient happen?
Well, basically, I had a really good relationship with Icaro, and we were getting along very well. But it was clear for both of us that I needed more money to live as a professional, and they could not offer me this amount of money at the beginning because basically Icaro was not big enough, unfortunately. And then Horacio was flying for Gradient at this time, and I was flying Synchro with Horacio. We were very good friends, and we still are actually. And so he told me there is an opening at Gradient. It would be awesome to have you. We can fly Synchro together there. We can work on the new glider together there, because I had a lot of experience streaming gliders at Icaro already. And so I went and met Andres Dupal in Kupicar. I think it was in 2014 that we decided there. And we just discussed, he asked me why I wanted to go to Gradient. And basically I had flown Gradient Wing for nearly my whole life until I started flying Icaro. So I was really close to the Gradient philosophy, and I knew the Gradient dealer in France, and I knew quite well the whole market. And so he was really interested in my skills, in what I could offer Gradient. So he just offered me a contract right away in Kupicar. We shaked hands, and it was just like a solid deal, for both of us straight away.
Yeah, and that sounds good. And you say the Gradient philosophy, and there was definitely something about our philosophy of life and work by Andre and Gradient. It was definitely a great brand, and very sad to see them go recently. But yes, what a brand! They contributed a lot. And Theo, you said, well, I have my professional contract with Gradient, but we all have been to a job interview. We all have had a job interview at some point, at least the people that is listening to us right now. But what is it like, a job interview for a job like that? I mean, what was the job description? What did you commit to do? I mean, what was your part of the deal?
Well, basically, Gradient wanted to launch an Acro wing, so the agility. So they needed some marketing and communication done. They needed a good pilot to fly this wing, and they had Horacio, obviously. But one of the main markets for wings are Germany, France, Austria, and Switzerland. And that's market where I'm really well placed at, because I have a big fan base there. So I have a lot of people that follow me in these countries. And so they needed someone to make videos, to make the wing known, in this market. So that was the first point that were interesting for them. And second of all, they wanted someone to help Horacio design the wing and create the wing and trim the wing. And that was the second point. I had a lot of experience trimming wings at Icaro. I had done the Nikita 4 with Xandi Meshu in Icaro. I had done the Nikita 3 as well. So I had a lot of experience trimming wings. So that was the second thing that were really interesting for them. And so the base of our deal was trimming the Acro wing, promoting the Acro wing and the paragliding wings of Gradient around Europe. So France, Austria, Germany, and Switzerland.
That's a big job. And after developing the agility, were you involved also in freestyle and 7 in the development of those two gliders?
No, I was not involved at all in these gliders. After we finished the agility at Gradient, then Andres Dupal really liked my way of trimming and how I designed the wings and what I was feeling at the wing. So they kind of moved me to the development team. So I was also developing the other wings, like the tandems and cross-country wings, and I was helping there for the last 2 years at Gradient.
Oh man, big kudos. It's like I don't know any professional tandem pilot who don't like the Big Golden, or at least hasn't got some respect for the Big Golden. It's been a great success. Good job. And Theo, I mean, you said, well, trimming the glider. Andre, if I remember well, he was actually doing that work for a lot of the gliders. So the Gradient had a designer. Andre was doing the testing and a lot of the trimming. Was that something that you picked the ropes from him? Did he teach you that? Because we are now moving more to your more recent stage, which is with Nova, we all have seen the videos now. You're trimming the different videos of trimming the 4th and 5th proto of the new Nova Acro glider, and we are getting there. But where did you learn that trade? Did you pick that from? Did Andre teach you a little bit, or?
Well, you have to go further back than that. I started trimming Acro wing when I was really little, because when back in the days, Acro wing were never perfect. It was kind of shitty wings most of the time. And the first wing I had at Acro was far from being perfect. So I started trimming it when I was like 15 or something, in order to improve it and to get the maneuvers better, particularly the infinite. And then the main test pilot of Acro, which was Xandi Michu, gave me a lot of advices, and we started trimming together the wings. So I learned a lot from Xandi in Acro, and he taught me a lot of things. He's a really, really talented test pilot, actually, and particularly for trimming Acro wing, he's amazing. So he taught me a lot of stuff about that. And when I moved to Gradient, I had a lot of skills about trimming Acro wings. Basically, I could trim an Acro wing by myself, it was no problem, but I had no skills at all about normal wings. And this Andrej Dupal taught me very well at Gradient, because he's, I think, a really, really good test pilot as well. And particularly for normal wings, he's amazing. And he really taught me a lot of things about testing normal wings and trimming them and stuff like this. And now that I moved to Nova, I'm back into trimming Acro wings mainly.
I think we've lost Theo. So if somebody back in studios can get Theo back, maybe we can wait a little bit. But that is fascinating. So whilst we get Theo back, I can tell you a little bit more about that. I was lucky enough to be talking to him just minutes before the call, and the trimming of the glider seems to be something super important, part of the work that he's doing right now in Nova. And Theo is actually developing a brand new Acro glider for Nova, his new employers. But there is a video actually up on YouTube where he's showing us, hey, Theo, we got you back. You almost gave me a heart attack there, Theo, but we got you back. So continue then. You were telling us about the trimming work that you had picked up from Xandi Michu.
Yeah. So basically Xandi taught me a lot of stuff, and when I moved to Gradient, then Andrej Dupal taught me a lot of trimming normal gliders, and I got a lot of information from Andrej, which was an amazing test pilot, about trimming normal gliders. So basically I had these two skills now, which was trimming Acro wings from Xandi and trimming normal wings from Andrej. And now I moved to Nova, and I'm mostly trimming the Acro wing. I'm not taking part in the normal development. And that's what I love to do, actually. Trimming Acro wing is what I prefer.
Yeah. And Theo, we go back then now to your latest stage. Gradient is no more, was taken up by Super for some time, and now you have moved to Nova. First of all, congratulations. I mean, what a great brand to work for. Super good quality, great team, massive factory. And you're doing work, obviously, developing a new glider for them. Are you working with Philip Medicus? I mean, is he doing the design and you do the trimming, or how does that work?
Well, basically, we are three now in this Acro project at Nova. There is Philip Medicus, which is doing the design. So he designs the prototypes and the wings. And then there is Fabian Gastinger, which is the test pilot of Nova, is the main test pilot. And he was involved just before me into the Acro project. So just before I arrived, they had an Acro prototype, which Fabian was trying to develop outside of the other Nova project. It was not a priority at all. And then there is me, which arrived in January with the Nova team. And basically, we are working all three together to try to make this Acro wing happening. So Philip is designing the wings. Fabian is really close to Philip in terms of geography. So he's usually doing the first flight with the wing to check that everything is okay and that we don't have to make big changes on the wing straight away. And then the wing arrives to me right after that. So after one flight, basically, or two flights, and I get the wing to trim it, basically.
And Theo, by the way, I have to say something. I don't know if it's you or what, but the glider, the new Nova glider looks really pretty. It's a pretty wing to look at. I mean, what changed there? What was the change?
Basically, Nova changed the whole design last year. So when I arrived, not all the brand still already had the new design, and there was a discussion between putting a totally different design on the Acro wing or the new Nova design. And I asked for the new Nova design because I found it really pretty. And then there was the discussion of how the wing would look like. So what airfoil you would use, if the wing would be thick with high aspect ratio or not. And basically, I asked the guys at Nova that I wanted a pretty wing. I wanted a wing which was thin with a nice airfoil, which was looking nice and which had high aspect ratio for an Acro wing. So basically, they just made that. I say, okay, I want a beautiful wing. I want a pretty wing. And they just made it. And I'm super happy about the result. For me, it looks really beautiful. I'm super stoked.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more of it. By the way, there's a lot of videos in YouTube already. If you can check Theo's YouTube channel, he has posted a few fantastic videos of the new Nova prototype, apart from the tutorials, which he has already done several of. If you're learning to do acrobatics, you can get a lot of good advice there. And Theo, we're getting more and more questions from people as well.
Yeah.
But getting to that point, tell us a little bit about this new maneuver that you have managed to land. I mean, the super stall to infinity, super stall flip to infinity. I mean, I can't even figure out how to say it, how to name it. Can you talk us through it? What's this maneuver and what did it imply getting to do it?
Well, basically the super stall to infinity is a really old maneuver in itself, because since the beginning of acro flying, everyone always talked about this maneuver. Everyone always thought about super stall to infinite, and it was kind of the ultimate goal of acro pilots. Most of the time, they were telling, "Oh, we should try super stall to infinite," and it was just so sketchy. Nobody really tried. Nobody really gave it a go.
Can you kind of at least just with your hands explain what are we talking about? What is the super
so
stall
basically
to
the
infinite?
super stall to infinite is you getting speed with the glider. So you do a few wing overs, then you just arrived and you stall the glider, so you enter a full stall, and then you release the wing and let it go into an infinite, and then you go for an infinite tumbling. So basically it's a connection between a full stall or a dynamic full stall and an infinite. So yeah, it's a really interesting trick, and I think it was in 2018. So I had some free time. I had trained a lot, and I was feeling really fit in the air. So we decided to go for this trick together with Igor, the Russian acro pilot, and we kind of made it kind of a game. You know, he was training in Russia, I was training in Lago di Garda in Italy, and the first to succeed was winning, kind of. So I spent a week there. So before that, I had studied a lot of videos from students, because many students in SIVs were doing super stall to normal tumbling with normal gliders. So I was wondering how it was possible. So I studied the theories, the airfoils of the glider, how it was working. I discovered that glider has, I already knew that, but that the reflex effect on the glider was kind of stopping the glider from shooting. So I thought about I should do to reflect.
When releasing the glider, when the glider was behind you and releasing it, then the reflex that is by design in the glider was stopping it from shooting fast enough.
That's it. That was stopping the glider from shooting. So I was trying to overpass this difficulty. So I found out that by putting some brakes during the shooting, I was stopping this reflex effect, but I had to release the brake early enough. Otherwise, the glider was not shooting at all. So I had to study kind of a lot of things. And then during the week in Lago di Garda, it took me 5 days and a lot of fails, but I ultimately found the way to the super stall by pulling the speed bar, by keeping the brakes. You know, it was kind of a complicated process, a lot of things to do at the same time. But it eventually worked, and now it's kind of working 100%, which is quite nice, actually, because when it doesn't, it's not fun.
Wow, Theo. Wow. I mean, we are talking about all of this, that you watched a lot of videos, you looked at the theory of it, you figured out that the reflex effect on the glider had to be countered somehow. But you're talking about all these things, but the super stall to infinite is a maneuver that, at least to me, seems like it's very committed. Like once you decide to go for it, it's either it happens or you end up in the glider. I mean, is it a bit like that?
It is and it is not at the same time. It means that if you are doing it more or less right, and you go for it, even if you make a small mistake, you should at least do one turn in order to pass above the glider at least once, and then probably you will end up maybe in the wing if you don't stop it, but you have like kind of a small window in order to stop. But if you are doing it completely wrong, 100% you end up in the glider on the first try. So you have kind of, if you are doing it more or less right, you can have some pressure left that you should pass above the glider at least once and not in the glider straight away. And with the small gliders we have now, you have more risk of falling into the lines than straight into the glider. It's kind of the riskiest that can happen to you. It's still bad, but it's not as bad as falling into the glider, obviously.
Wow. And Theo, I mean, obviously doing acrobatics is very demanding mentally and in terms of reflexes. Instead of just being calm and collected, keeping cool, doing it in a competition must be the same. But is there any exercises or any practice that you do to keep a stable mental state or to get in the zone before going for a practice run or before going for a competition?
Not really. Basically, I'm a really calm person, so I'm really calm when I go to fly. I'm not stressed. I'm not scared. I'm not overreacting quite often, and I'm also a really pragmatic person. I visualize a lot of things before I fly, and I study a lot of things before I fly. So basically, when I go flying, I have not much stress. I'm just like pretty confident in myself. So that's one thing, and also I'm flying so much, and I've been flying for so many years already, that basically I feel super comfortable in the air, even if I'm going to something which is really hard to do, because I have confidence in myself that I should be able to recover, or I know that I can use my rescue properly, which is good.
So I take from that then that you probably are not very afraid often. You're not afraid often at all. Maybe you can control your fears, or is that something that happens sometimes to get frightened, and how do you manage it?
Well, basically, I make a big difference between being stressed and being frightened. And for me, being frightened is really dangerous. Being stressed is quite normal. So if you are frightened, it more probably means that it's something that you have no idea what's going to happen. You didn't study it well enough, and you have a lot of part in what you are going to do that you have no idea how they will end up, and you have no idea how to recover from any like unexpected event. And if you are stressed, you studied everything right, and you know what could go wrong. You know exactly what could go wrong and what mistake you could do, and you know what to do if you do this mistake, or what to do if you end up in a shitty situation. So basically, if I'm frightened, it means that I didn't study good enough my subject. So usually I just take a step back and study again in order to make everything looks a bit more understandable for me. And if I'm stressed, it's totally normal, and it means that I studied well enough. It's just something that's going to be difficult, but I know what to do in case of failure.
Cool. That makes sense. And you know, one particular thing as well, the Acro community is very cooperative, right? You seem to work unlike perhaps not so much like racing pilots who are all hiding secrets from each other to try and beat each other up. The Acro community seems to be very cooperative. I mean, how does a new maneuver happen? Do you guys work together? Do you share information?
Not so much, actually. Basically, we all have friends in the Acro world. So basically, I'm really friends with some Acro pilots, like the Colombian guys, Cesar Andres, with Jack Pimblet, which is a guy from the UK, with Paltacats, with Horacio. You know, I'm friends with a lot of pilots. So when I go for a new trick, usually I'm working on it by myself and trying to find the way by myself. But as soon as it's working, I'm sending these videos to my friends, you know, just like because we are friends, and I want to show to my friends what I'm doing. So basically, we are like kind of chatting like this, and once a maneuver is out, we don't wait for the next competition in order to show it, and be the only one to show it. We just show it to everyone, and everyone can train it before the competition. That's the way we do in Acro. That's the way Raul was doing in Acro back in the days, and I think it's the best way. It gives a chance to everyone to train new things, and you don't hide anything from the other pilots.
Nice one. And you've seen actually a lot of pilots coming from the ones that you mentioned. At the beginning was a lot of European pilots. Then there was a number of American pilots coming on board. Is there any waves of Acro pilots coming from different regions other than perhaps South America and Europe at the moment? Is there anything that you see?
At the moment, there is a lot of European and South American pilots for sure. There is one pilot who came from Russia, which is Igor, which is really, really good. Igor is from Russia, so it's not really Europe, obviously. It's the same continent, but still. But otherwise, it's mainly South America and Europe at the moment. And the South American part is getting really big in the Acro world. We have like 3 amazing pilots in South America at the moment, which are Andres, Cesar, and Bicho, and Victor Carrera. So it's a really strong team of South Americans, actually.
Yes, Bicho Carrera, he has impressed everybody.
Yeah.
And the other ones as well. It's quite, I never stop admiring pilots from places like the UK, like, for example, Jack Pimblett, or before him, there has been guys that have really tried hard. And I mean, it's never flyable on those places. It's never flyable. It's such a big effort, man. It's so committing, and they still make it. So big kudos, big kudos to them. And in terms of maneuvers, there's a few things that are very curious, and one of them is, is there anything new coming up? Have you got your sights on a new maneuver? Raul Rodriguez a couple of weeks back said that he thinks there's about 500 maneuvers out there to be had, and he thinks that we are doing around 200 of them. Is there much more there, or is there any maneuver that you're now starting to look at to try?
There is a lot of possibilities in Acro. I mean, we are super lucky that paragliding offers a lot of possibilities. We are really flying in all 3 dimensions. We have a lot of possibilities in terms of we can twist ourselves, we can flip the harness, we can use the shooting of the glider. We have a pendulum between glider and pilot. I mean, we have so many possibilities that it's kind of mind-blowing how many tricks we can work on. For me, I have some ideas about Acro maneuvers that obviously I will keep for myself until I'm doing them, because otherwise we won't fly, and then it's not good for me. But I have some ideas, and I hope I will be able to try them soon. And that's also why I'm doing the wing from Nova. It's because I want to build myself a wing which opens new possibilities for me. So I'm taking the thing into my hands and try to build myself a wing that offers possibilities for new Acro maneuvers.
And is that the wing that you fly is normally, it will end up normally in the market, and everybody that buys an Acro Nova wing will have the same wing that you do, or has it yours has got a special spice on it?
At the moment, there is no plan to put my wing in the market, and probably we won't release my wing in the market. If you release an Acro wing someday, it will not be my wing. It will be based on my wing, but my wing will be only for me. Basically, because what I like in a wing is for the wing to be really aggressive, really fast, really small. And from my experience in the market, nobody is buying these wings. Like everyone is scared. So I keep these wings for myself, and that's it. I'm dreaming them only for me.
Holy moly, Theo. I mean, with that backing, having the ability to build a wing that you just want for yourself, and with your skills, I think there's a lot to look forward to in the world of Acro.
Actually, that was one of the things that I was really happy to in my Nova deal, because before, with Gradient and Icaro, we needed to build wings for the market. So I could not build a wing only for me. So I could not build a wing which was extreme enough and which was fast enough for me. I had to build a wing which everyone could fly. But now I have no limits. I can really build a wing which is totally crazy. And that's my problem. I'm the only one flying it. So that's really, really good for me because I have no limits and I can really build something which is going to be incredible, I hope.
I know that you don't. Yeah, that is pretty amazing. And one thing that is mind-boggling to me, at least, is the size of the wings. Yeah, you're flying now at 14 square meter.
Yeah.
And 8 years ago, that was the size of the Jean Bobcat. You know, a speed flying wing. And is that the way to go? I mean, will the design go for ever smaller wings, or is there anything new on the design of Acro wings that you think needs to be explored and you would like to? You already mentioned the aspect ratio, but anything that you can let go?
Well, actually, the Acro wing did not change for quite a long time. If you look back into an Emily, which is right now sold from RG, it's more or less the same that it was sold something like 8 years ago. So the Acro wing did not change for quite a long time. And I think there is a big opening for Acro wing to change. The main thing at the moment is that the Acro market being quite small, it's hard to put a lot of budget into making an Acro wing. So the companies are not making a lot of money into that, into building new prototypes and trying to find new designs because it's not bringing enough money, obviously. So that's to the pilot like me that need to think about it and, like, for example, be lucky with a company like Nova that agrees to invest money into an Acro wing, even though they know that they will not sell many of these wings. You know, they agree to make the sport progress and to make the sport go further. And that's what we have to plan. Actually.
Okay. Actually, you went really slow there. I couldn't hear very well what you said at the very end, but I hope that the rest of the people did. So I will not ask you to repeat that. And Theo, that is very exciting, and I can't wait to see what comes out of this new project. But if you're a new pilot, then maybe actually before I move that, I got a question I wanted to ask you, and this is a friend of mine was telling me last night and asking about this inverted tumbling. So his idea was if you could ever have a full stall or the glider falling behind you fast enough that you will actually do an inverted tumbling. So a tumbling started with the wing falling behind you instead of shooting forward. Is that even something that, I don't know, that you could envision happening?
Well, that's funny because it's kind of a legendary maneuver, and everyone's talking about this kind of maneuver, but at the moment, I'm not sure it's possible with the wings we have now.
Okay, that's good. And I'm actually, unfortunately for me, I'm losing you a little bit there, Theo. But it seems like you are listening to my questions anyway, so we can continue there. And Theo, let me see. Hello. Can you hear me, Theo, or have I lost you?
No, I hear you.
Okay, you're there. Okay, cool. One thing, Theo. Let's say we got a lot of people here interested in Acro, and they would like to know maybe how to get started. Is there any recommendation, both in terms of equipment, any glider that you would recommend to start with in Acro, or size of glider as well? Just this is for a beginner Acro player.
The mistake most people are doing and want to start Acro with if you are and try to fit, it's your size. If you can take one size really better with the real progress further fast and be
okay.
for you.
I lost Theo there again. I don't know if you guys can actually listen to him. I imagine that we are losing him a little bit. He's actually in the mountains at the moment. He lives in Chambéry, a blessed place, really. He must be about less than an hour from Annecy and less than an hour from Saint-Hilaire-du-Touvet.
I'm back.
And he's here.
Yeah.
It's good to live in the mountains, Theo, but the signal is not fantastic. Anyway,
that's it.
let's rewind and tell us again about some recommendations for beginners acro pilots then.
Yeah.
If you're, for the people that's listening there.
So yeah, what I was saying is that basically many people are, choosing freestyle or acro wing as their first wing, and for me it's a big mistake. For me, flying ENB wing is the very best to start acro, because that's wings that are quite slow, quite easy to manage, and you will learn a lot of things flying these wings. So for me, I always advise people to start with their ENB wings if they have one, or to buy a ENB wing which is one size smaller, which is good, but never to start with an acro or freestyle wing. ENB wing will be the best. You can do nearly all maneuvers except tumblings with the ENB.
Cool. Okay. It's any favorites that you mentioned?
Basically, I really love the old generation of ENB wings, which was, I think, 2010 wings, something like there was a Skywalk Chili one, which was really good. The Ion 2 from Nova was good. The Golden 2 and 3 were good also. More or less this generation of ENB wing, like I think Hook 1 and Hook 2 also were quite good. All this old generation, it's actually super cheap at the moment, so you can buy them for like nearly nothing. You usually sell them for nothing as well, which is quite good, and it's perfect, I think.
That is a good advice. And I must say, there's something pretty about a normal wing doing acrobatics as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's just everything's a bit slower. The
Yeah.
timing needs to be kind of, it's not as forgiving. You don't have that much energy. Great advice. And in terms of training, what these guys should be aiming at? Of course, the more the better. But
Yeah.
how many hours a week, let's say?
Well, it's super hard to say. For example, when I started Acro, I was doing something like 300-400 hours a year. So it's quite a lot of hours. And the most important for acro flying is to fly, and to fly a lot of hours. So I would advise every pilot not to count the hours they fly per week, but to find a good spot, like a perfect spot where you can climb really easily and do runs above like the lake, above a forest, above a safe box, in a really an easy place to fly. That's the most important.
You need to move. You need to adapt perhaps your life a little bit. Yeah. And if you want to make it into the SA,
for sure. Or you can go to Organia, then you will be in the perfect.
Organia, yeah. Lots of people talks about Organia or Ludeniz in Turkey, but what is your opinion? I mean, Organia seems to be even a better training ground. I don't know. What do you think? That must have been a very difficult question because we froze Theo up. Let's see. I imagine now Pana and Claudia back in the office will be trying to disconnect Theo and connect him back again and see if that helps us with the signal. This chat is very, very exciting. But luckily, we have also already got a lot of good information from Theo. We have had already about an hour of conversation. we are not going to the end. You're back. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Timing here, maybe for connection. I don't know.
But that's all right, because at least we are managing to get you back, and yeah, we will not be long before we start wrapping up. But you were saying, find a good spot.
Holy is more or less five flights a day, with maybe 1,200 meters of altitude each run. And Organia, in a good day, one of the best days I have in Organia will be 80 to 85 runs a day with 1,000 meters of altitude. So basically, you do the math, and you will see that Organia is at least 8 times to 10 times better. Like each day in Organia is worth maybe 5 to 10 in Holy, which is incredible.
Okay. So if you're okay, that's quite something. Thank you very much for that advice, Theo. And well, aside from the acrobatics, by the way, guys, there is a full tutorial of Theo on internet, on YouTube, which you have very generously put together. This all of the new maneuvers, so all of the basic maneuvers, at least, they're all broken down and explained in English very clearly. So check out Theo's YouTube page and YouTube channel. And there's a lot of very good advice from there. There's some other questions there. Let's try and cover them up. Classic questions: how many parachutes do you use? Are you using the Rogallo or the round reserves? Quick word on parachutes.
Basically, I have 2 rescues at the moment, which is one Rogallo. I have a Beamer 3 from iAdventure, and I have a Square rescue. So that's my 2 main rescues, and that's what I use nearly all the time. I think it's the safest. I think it's the safest way in order to fly, actually.
Okay. And the acro flying as well is extremely demanding. And do you do any physical training? I've seen that you are quite a keen hike and flyer as well.
Yeah, I'm running a lot, actually. I love running, so I'm running like nearly 120 kilometers a week, so it's quite a lot. And that's the main training I do. I don't train my arms so much. I'm climbing really a little bit, not a lot. And I don't do much strength training. I do a lot of training more for running, but I don't need that much training for acro because I'm so used to fly that my muscles and my body is quite okay with it. And I'm just getting really fit from running, so I don't need that much more training.
Yeah, and yes, I actually have seen a few of your training sessions. You have published a few, like on live tracking and so on. And it's been, you're well above an average fit person, I would say. And is there any other sports that you do aside from paragliding?
Well, beside running and paragliding, I'm not doing much. I'm trying to do a little bit of stuff, but I discovered really early on that I was really bad at every sport. And if I wanted to be good at something, I needed to do it like a lot and to do nearly only that. So I did paragliding and I focused only on paragliding. If I wanted to be good, it was the only way. And now I'm really good at paragliding and I can do some running as well because it's kind of on different schedule. I can run only early in the morning and fly all day long. So I can focus only on running and only on paragliding, and that's it. Otherwise, I will suck at everything. So I needed to find some stuff.
Okay. And you seem to be the kind of guy that you either do it well or you don't do it at all, and you need to focus one thing at a time. And that it's definitely making good results. Now I'm getting a lot of questions actually, and if we don't answer some of the literal questions from our audience, I think I'm gonna get hung at the end of this interview. So let's pick a few of them. And how many times have you fallen into your glider, or have you thrown your emergency parachute during perfection in the tumbling?
Well, while doing the tumbling, I don't know. I've thrown my reserve 12 times so far. So
12 times.
Yeah, most of the time trimming prototypes and a few times in tumbling. And I had fallen into my canopy something like 3 times before 2018. And then I started trying superstall to infinite, for which I fell into my canopy something like 3 or 4 times. And then last year I tried all the maneuvers, which was the superstall flip to infinite, the twisted superstall to infinite, for like a week. In a 1 week I fall in my wing 8 times, so that was my maximum.
What?
So since before that, I really rarely fall into my wing, but during the last week in 2019, I was falling into my wing.
In 1 week?
Yeah, it was a really tough week, actually. Mentally tough, definitely.
Your mom doesn't know these things, right? You're not telling your mom about
the video afterwards, but yeah.
By the way, if you don't know what it is, that's the glider shoots forward or whatever, and the pilot ends up wrapped in it or in the lines 8 times in 1 week. And you're crying because it's turbulent when you go out at midday, you sissy. Yeah, so that's unbelievable, Theo. That's 8 times in 1 week. That's just to give you an idea of the level of commitment that perfection in that maneuver takes. It's not a maneuver to do every day. That's unbelievable. Yeah. And have you tried the base system, Raul's base system?
Yeah, I used it. I used it a little bit before, and then I stopped using it because I found out that most of the time when I throw the rescue, it's because I'm falling into my lines or in my glider. And for me, it was useless to have a base system because you cannot use a base system in these conditions. So basically, I was sticking to normal rescues because it was much more efficient for me. Since then, there are base system with 2 rescues plus a base canopy, which is much safer. But I still prefer my normal Acro harness because it's lighter and everything. But I really advise I really advise to pilot to fly the base system with 2 reserve and a base canopy. It's really safe, it's really good, and it's really important for them, I think.
Cool. Quick releases?
No, I don't use them. I don't use them. It's a lot of process. You need to check them before every flight. Sometimes they open in flight. There have been some problems. And basically, I don't think you need them because bringing your glider back when you're under the rescue is really easy. And if you are doing it right, you will see it's quite easy. So basically, most of the time, people don't manage it because they are doing it wrong. But if you really train it and think about it before, then you should be able to do it right. And so I don't use them because I know I can bring my glider back.
Yeah. Especially when it's 14 square meters, you must be able to bring it back. Yeah,
actually.
And some time ago, the World Cup used to come to South America. There was, or there were Acro competitions in South America. There were some in Iquique. There was Acro Andes. Is that something that you think might happen again? The Acro.
I would love to go to South America. I know I have a lot of South American friends, actually, particularly among the paragliding Acro pilots. And I think they deserve to have a World Cup or a world event in their countries, like in Brazil, in Argentina, in Chile, in Colombia. They deserve to have a World Cup there. Most difficult, I think, is the costs because it's really expensive to bring. Most of the pilots are European, so it's really expensive to bring everyone there. But I really hope that someday we will manage to go there because I have a lot of fans there. I know a lot of pilots are there. The Acro community is getting really big there, so they deserve to have a World Cup, that's for sure.
I mean, I don't know if the competition will have a lot of fancy things, but I can guarantee you there'll be a hell of a party and a lot of cheering. The Latinos are very excitable. And well, Theo, in other things, you're 26 years old. Actually, self-preservation has not really kicked in yet, or it's just about to kick in. But do you see yourself flying cross-country a bit? I mean, do you see yourself maybe one day doing big distances, maybe in the French nationals in a PWC, like Felix has done or Baltakach have done?
I don't know. So far, cross-country is not really my thing. I love to do hike and fly cross-country. I really love it because for me, it's really different. You really fly with a goal. You want to fly as far as possible, so you run less. and then you are landing high in order to sleep there and take off in the morning. There is a lot of strategy involved, and I really love it. But normal cross country is always boring me a little bit. So for the moment, I'm really focused into acro and hike and fly, but yeah, not much into normal cross country. I don't know if I'm too young yet, or I don't know, but yeah, it's not really interesting for me.
There is a chance of that. There's a psychological study that says that 25 is when you start really appreciating all the things in life. But I think you're a long way from the sofa. You're a long way from an armchair and just relaxing.
I hope so.
But then you're really fit. You obviously can control your glider. You fly like a demon. Would you give it some thought? The X-Alps, is that something out of the question?
No, that's not out of the question. I love running, I love hike and fly, and I love flying. So the X-Alp is definitely something I want to go to. Only thing is that in France, it's quite hard because we have amazing hike and fly pilots. They have they are super good level, super high level, much better than me in hike and fly. And we have only 4 spots per country in the X-Alp. So basically, I have to fight against people which are much better than me in this, and I have no time to train more hike and fly. So I have to, every year I will keep trying to go into the X-Alp, but if I don't go, I totally understand why. I understand that because the pilots there flying there are much better than me in this area of flying. So, but if I can, I will definitely go.
Do they have like a limit per nation? Like,
yes,
do they allow only
maximum 14 per nation?
14 per nation,
yeah,
max.
14, yeah. So if I can go, I will go. But
is that France? Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get you there.
That's France has got like on your national team. Does France decides who goes to the X-Alps, or is the X-Alps deciding who?
It's the X-Alp deciding who goes there. So the X-Alp is deciding which pilots they take. But for example, there is like Maxime Pinot, which is an amazing cross-country pilot and like proved during the last X-Alp, which he was an amazing hike and fly pilot. We have Benoit Houters, which already did 2 podiums in the X-Alp in only two participation. We have like Gaspard Petiot, we have Antoine Girard, we have like a bunch of amazing athletes. And so it's hard, if you are not doing hike and fly and cross-country daily, you cannot compete with these guys because they are really good. And I want to go and I would like to do more, but I don't want to train cross country in order to go to the X-Alp. I want to keep playing acro. So we will see.
You still got plenty of time, Theo. Plenty of time. One of my all-time favorites. It's true that France has got amazing pilots in the last couple of X-Alps, but one of my last all-time favorites was the fight between Clément from Super, I can't remember, Latour. I think it was Antoine Girard and the British pilot that for 3rd place they were racing each other from Mont Blanc all the way to Monaco. That was awesome. Like 2 editions ago was really cool. We are starting to wrap up a little bit, Theo. We have run out of time. And are you giving courses? Are you teaching people to do acro? Is that something that if you don't do that now, you might do?
Well, basically, I just opened a paragliding school with Jack Pimblet in the UK, actually. And we are doing SIV and acro courses all around the world, basically in Holy Denis mainly. So with the virus now, everything is kind of shut down. But I just opened this school and we are doing courses kind of all over the world, yeah.
Is it so? You and Jack just started SIV and Acro school in the UK. That's fantastic. What's the name of the school?
It's Rise Paragliding, RISE Paragliding, and you can check the website. It's riseparagliding.com, and we are doing courses. So mostly in Holy Denis, I think the next one was supposed to be in May. Because of the coronavirus, it will not happen, obviously, but we will see you in Holy Denis in October. So if you want to go, if anyone wants to join there, you are welcome.
Yes, we will definitely check it out. And riseparagliding.com, that's very exciting news. And I might try to sign myself up to one of those courses. I haven't done an SIV in a very long time, and nobody better than you guys to do one with. So I wish you a lot of success with that enterprise, with your brains and your skills. I'm sure you will be doing really, really well, Theo.
Thank you very much.
No, absolutely, and I hope that we have you some other time. I cannot communicate with Pana right now, but I imagine we are wrapping up. And with all of this, I would like to thank you very, very much for your time, Theo. It's been a pleasure for me to have you here. I cannot believe my luck of talking to you. So that's awesome. And
thank you.
Safe flights.
Thank you for having me, and have a nice day. Enjoy. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Thank you, Theo. Bye. Wow, I'm still, absolutely excited. Theo de Blic. Jesus. Okay. Am I gone? I'm live. Pana, come back.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Paolo. Thank you, Theo. I'm sorry for the manage, some problems in some moment, but very nice interview, Paolo. And thank you, everyone, to stay with us during this thermal, the first one in English. And the next, we don't know who will be the next invited, but I say bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Pana.
Hasta la vista.
Bye.
Hasta la vista, baby.